Hey guys, Movie Fan here to talk to you about something so big that, it needs to be said. And I'm not kidding. This is so huge, I'm actually at a loss for words right now. Now, I've talked about this before, but this is too huge for me to not make a special episode. Now, I talked about Midway as a whole, and, I still say it's one of the greatest war movies of all time. But what most people don't know, especially now, is that there's actually an alternate TV version where there's actually more footage put into it. Seriously. In fact, this movie itself is 2 hours long. Well, the added footage that was put into it makes it almost 3 hours. Yeah, I'm serious. Nowadays, we might call that like a director's cut or an extended edition, which would be accurate. And the story behind this is really incredible. In fact, it's so incredible, even I don't believe it. Apparently, the movie was such a mind blowing success back in the day, and Hollywood loved it so much that they decided to create some more footage. So the story goes. And that footage was strictly made for television only. So for years, people saw an alternate version on television where it had extended footage talking about Charlton Heston's main character, how his arm wasn't working right because of Pearl Harbor, and how he had a girlfriend that his son didn't know anything about. And there was a huge stockpile of footage of the Battle of the Coral Sea. Now, granted, that footage was probably a mixture of the actual battle and several other battles, because it's no secret that they did take a lot of old World War II footage and kind of spliced it in however they kind of felt like it, just as long as it looked good. But either way, that was a big deal because, talking about the Battle of the Coral Sea, that was a huge part of the story. And I'm not kidding, it was huge because you might remember the Yorktown was badly damaged. In fact, she was so badly damaged that they didn't think she'd be able to make it to sea. But Admiral Nimitz knew that they needed more carriers out there. So he ordered them to do a quick jerry rig patch job on the Yorktown just so they could get her out there, so they could get more planes up in the air, because they needed all hands on deck for this mission. That was what was so important because it highlighted that greatly. And there was quite a few other pieces of footage too, like you see a lot more going on with Admiral Nagumo talking to a young officer who says, "We're fighting a war that we cannot win." It's that excess dialogue, and especially the excess war footage, that really makes this alternate version so great. And unfortunately, you will not find this on DVDs as a whole, at least as far as I could tell, because to the best of my knowledge, and I've done some pretty heavy research on this, they have not been able to put this as a whole. Now, some of the footage is actually stored in the special features section on the DVDs and Blu-rays. However, they have never put it all together, like when they did Daredevil, the director's cut, or Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, the extended version. Why is that? Well, it's because back then, Midway was filmed in widescreen. And the problem is, television was filmed in that so called 4:3 ratio. So they say it's impossible to reassemble that footage together, which I beg to differ because, with modern technology, that can't be impossible. To make matters worse, supposedly the entire film itself is lost. How and why, I don't know, because they stopped showing it on television decades ago, and it's never been seen on any of the movie channels or TBS or any local station since. So it's presumed lost until now. Because when I was a baby, my folks recorded it on VHS tape. See? Midway, right under the Fighting Sullivans. And just recently, I turned it into a DVD because I found out that it doesn't exist on the DVDs. So I got in contact with my folks, and I got the tape, and I converted it to discs, one for me and one for them, because, we don't want to lose it. And because of my discovery that this footage is presumed lost, I decided to air it on the internet. Now, am I going to get into trouble for this? Probably. I'm pretty sure somehow they're going to jump on me for this. But you know what? It's a chance worth taking because people need to see this. They need to know that this film exists. They need to be able to see it. This film is an important part of movie history. and television history now that I think about it. Because think about this for a minute. Whenever a movie is put on television, what usually happens? Parts are cut out, right? Of course. Usually the story goes that, the movie's too long for television, so they chop, 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 chop out some parts that they think are not necessary to make room for their commercial quotas. That is especially true right now. Never has there ever been a time where they extended a movie for television. It's never been extended before, and I doubt it will ever happen again. So people need to know that this exists, and people need to see this. It is absolutely incredible. And I can assure you, this extended version makes the original look like a joke by comparison, because when you've got that extra footage of the Battle of the Coral Sea, it just highlights it even better. Now, sure, there's a lot more dialogue in it with our main characters, and some of it does come off like a sappy soap opera, but, that's Hollywood for you. They always got to do stuff like that. Now, I do have it on the internet right now, and you can actually go see it. I'll put the link below so you can find it. It is now on the Canadian online video platform, Rumble. I tried to put it on BitChute, but it was so huge that BitChute couldn't handle it. Now, I would chop it up and put it on there, but that just didn't feel right. And I would have put it on YouTube, but I think we know what would have happened. If I could ever get into contact with anyone in Hollywood who would be interested in trying to restore this film to a great glory, and especially to cut out a weather alert on there, it would be great. And, I would be more than happy to cooperate with Hollywood if they would want to try to get this footage to turn it into a real DVD and to show the world. I would be all for it. But I would have one very big condition. I would want the credit for rediscovering this long lost footage. If you want to see the movie as a whole, I put the link below so you can find it. And believe me, you're going to love this because it is absolutely incredible. But I must warn you, it is 3 hours long. So when you do that, you better be in it for the long haul. And if Hollywood's listening out there, I got the footage you want. And if you want to try and turn this into a DVD, please try to get a hold of me through my channel. I would be more than happy to listen. I would certainly be more than happy to pass over the footage for you to restore and turn into a DVD. But I do want the credit for rediscovering this. But again, if you want to see this, click the link below. It'll take you there. And if I do get it on any of the other things, I'll update it for you. And if Hollywood's interested in turning this into a real DVD and having it restored, please, by all means, get in contact with me. This is Movie Fan, signing off.